In today's lesson, we will be learning about plate tectonics, specifically the types of plate boundaries and how they shift. These boundaries are going to be demonstrated by a yummy snack that you can eat after the demonstration. Plate tectonics is a theory that Earth's crust, which is solid rock, is made up of large moving pieces called plates. When these plates move and interact with one another, many land features occur, like volcanoes and mountain ranges. Also, disasters can happen, like volcano eruptions and earthquakes. Two types of earthquakes can occur. Shallow earthquakes happen when plates stay in place, like transform and divergent boundaries. Deep earthquakes happen when plates move up or down, like convergent boundaries. There are also two types of volcano eruptions that can occur. Peaceful eruptions, which happen when magma rises to the surface from deep within the earth, and explosive eruptions, when magma arises from beneath the surface of the earth to the surface. The first type of boundary we will be learning about is called a transform boundary. In this type of boundary, there are two plates. These two plates interact with one another by rubbing against each other from side to side, just like this. Transform boundaries are known to cause shallow earthquakes. The second type of plate boundary is called a divergent boundary. And in this boundary, you have two plates which move away from each other. And when this happens, magma rises to the surface from deep within the earth. And it looks like this. Divergent boundaries are associated with shallow earthquakes and peaceful eruptions. In convergent boundaries, there are two plates that come together. And when this happens, one dips below the other. When this dip happens, the plate that dips is melted by the magma and rises to the surface. And where this dip occurred, this is a trench. And it kind of looks like this. The up and down movement that occurs on a convergent boundary causes deep earthquakes to occur and is associated with explosive eruptions. When two tectonic plates collide and one dips beneath the other, this is called subduction. There are two types of rocks that can be found in tectonic plates. One is oceanic crust, which is dense and will sink. The other is continental crust, which is lighter than oceanic crust and will float on top of it. In an oceanic to oceanic boundary, you have two oceanic tectonic plates, which will come together and cause one to dip. When this happens, the one that dips will melt and magma will rise to the surface of the other. This forms volcanoes. Also, where the dip happens is subduction, which causes a trench. In an oceanic to oceanic boundary, both of the plates are the same density, so one of them has to dip below the other, which forms trenches and volcanoes. In continental oceanic boundary, you have one tectonic plate made up of continental crust. The other is made up of oceanic crust. And due to its density, when they come together, the oceanic crust will sink below the continental. The oceanic crust will then melt by the magma, which will rise to the surface and form volcanoes on the continental side. Where the subduction happens, a trench will form. So in a continental oceanic boundary, oceanic and continental crust come together, and because it is denser, oceanic crust will sink below the continental crust. This causes the trench to form, and when the oceanic crust melts and rises to the surface of the continental crust, volcanoes will form. In continental to continental boundaries, you have two continental crust tectonic plates, which are of the same density. And when they come together, both of these will resist subduction and crash upwards to form mountain ranges. So for continental to continental boundaries, unlike the others, both of the tectonic plates resist subduction and crash upwards to form mountain ranges. As a summary, in this lesson, we have learned about transform boundaries, divergent boundaries, convergent boundaries, while also getting to learn about the other types of boundaries involved in plate tectonics. Now go and enjoy your graham cracker and whipped cream snack and get ready for your assessment.